Welcome to Kyle for a while. I am coming to you from inside of my car. I got my fake Gucci loafers on, a V-neck shirt, and a pair of basketball shorts, and I'm freezing my ass off in the winter to get away from my kids and tell you about something that's pissing me the fuck off. Alright, here we go. Music. I've got a music dilemma. In the 90's, there was music that was decent, and we're seeing a 90's resurgence of new music that sounds like 90's music, and they're doing it right, and it's the music that we should have heard in the 90's, because there wasn't enough of the 90's music at the time that sounds as cool as the stuff now that has 90's production. And this goes for folk, electronic, goth rock, just, you name it. It's just like they're taking all the best elements of 80's music and 90's music and boiling it down to what worked and throwing out what was corny in a bad way. And they're making solid releases from new bands. Now, what this has done is it has given older bands that were popular in the 90's the idea that because some of their good songs are being listened to on Spotify, that they should release a new fucking album or go on tour, and they shouldn't. And they should be ashamed of themselves. And there's one band that looms heavy on this list because I actually own a vinyl from the 90's from a band called Stabbing Westward. In 1996, they did Wither, Blister, Burn, and Peel. And it is the quintessential album for how you feel about a girl, if she doesn't like you, or if you just broke up, it's a good breakup album. If you just started dating, it's a good, makes you feel the opposite way. It was written for that teenage angst and lust, and I've just got this nostalgic thing for this album. It's basically a greatest hits album, but it's just their album. They also had one hit that was not on the album, that was on Darkest Days, that came out in 98. What was that song? Save Yourself. Besides that, didn't have a whole lot. I mean, they did have like an early demo called Ungod from 94 that was all right, but the production wasn't quite there. Talent wasn't quite there yet. Wither, Blister, Burn, and Peel comes out in 96. Like, holy fuck, this is like 9 Inch Nails light. It's like 9 Inch Nails with a a melodic, vocal melody and some really fucking cool keyboard parts. There's some keyboard parts that are so memorable in that album. And then, 98's Darkest Days just fucking destroyed them. They weren't good anymore. Nobody wanted to listen to that shit. And they were dead and gone until 2020, when they come out with a new EP called Dead and Gone. And it was recommended to me because I am a pretty big proponent of that Stabbing Westward album that I like. So I was like, I'll give it a chance. So what it is it's an EP, 3 songs. Who knows if they wrote them now or back in the 90's. It really doesn't matter. And then there's 2 remixes of 2 of those songs. So what you've got is Dead and Gone, title track, first song. Production, fucking terrible. It is way overproduced. Vocals buried in the background to hide the fact that this dude's way too old to be singing the shit that he's trying to sing. And lyrics just as teenage and angsty as they ever were. And this is 2020, and this guy's got to be like ridiculously old by now. You would think that they would have kept their 90s vintage, synthesizers from the 80s that they were using, or the coolest like 90s synthesizers that they were using. But it sounds like I don't even know if they're using synthesizers on this album. I think they might be using like VST plugins on like Fruity Loops or something, because this shit sounds fucking god awful. I don't know if they got a bad production staff, a bad A&R, or both, but it's totally a shot in the dark. So I'm like, oh, I'll go to the second track, give that, a chance, see what's going on there. And it's like this Middle Eastern sounding, like really corny, generic 90s vibe, and it's not even authentic. And again, it's VSTs and bad singing, I think. If they're using synthesizers, they're digital or something, or they've mixed the analog wrong, because they just sound like shit. And then Crawl, it's just like you're so embarrassed by the time it gets to that third song, you don't even want to be listening to this stuff anymore. And then they've got Stone Burned remix of Dead and Gone and Stab Waltz 12-inch dance mix of Cold. I don't know what clubs they're thinking are going to play Stabbing Westward in 2020 when it's not even remixes of their old good songs. I would rather hear someone go back to a decent song, remix that, put that in the club, than listen to any song off this terrible EP. I hope this doesn't lead to an album or a tour or anything, because just some of these 90s bands are just doing stupid shit. Garbage going on tour with Alanis Morissette, that doesn't make any sense. If you're going to go on tour with Alanis Morissette, you might as well be like Sheryl Crow or Paula Cole or some fucking dumb shit like that. Garbage actually had an edge to them, and their self-titled album was pretty good. It had decent production. I'm Only Happy When It Rains is probably their best song anyway, and it was a single. Garbage stayed in the game a lot longer than they should have. They came out with 2.0, and some fans will argue that one is good, but I think it's trash. You go from 1995 to 1998, 3 years after anybody cared about Garbage anymore, and release an album. It doesn't matter if it's got anything good on it, because nobody's going to want to listen to anything off of it. Yeah, I'm looking through the list of songs that were off of it right now, and I don't remember any of them. And if I look at the most popular songs, the first 5 are off the first album. So, I mean, that kind of tells you what you're dealing with. Then in 2001, they did Beautiful Garbage. Never even fucking heard it. Never even heard of it. Then they did Bleed Like Me in 2005. Again, didn't hear it. Don't want to hear it. 2012, they did Not Your Kind of People. Did it really take them that long between albums to come up with some of the crap that I'm sure is on this album? But then Strange Little Birds came out in 2016, and I was kind of getting excited about Garbage again, because they did a Patti Smith song with Screaming Females, and it was a really good cover. And I thought, okay, Shirley Manson can, still hold her own with a Patti Smith type, vocal with a younger band. Maybe this is going to lead to something. Maybe they would tour with some new industrial band, maybe some electronic band, even with a lead singer like Tempers or Boy Harsher or something. But no, they just put out mediocre Garbage and want to go on tour with Alanis Morissette. Garbage was a good name for that band, I guess, because basically a majority of their discography is fucking trash. Um, I'm trying to think of any other '90s bands that are trying to make a comeback, but it's few and far between, or it's these '90s bands that have been around trying to do stuff. I think Slipknot. There's a fucking new Tool album out. I know they went into the 2000s and they've been consistently releasing albums like every 5 years, but really, who gives a fuck about Tool at this point? They're Tool was a really good band to get into when you didn't understand that there were influences that they were taking and, putting it into their music. Once you found the bands that influenced Tool, there was no need to listen to Tool anymore. So I guess people aren't digging deep enough in the crates on or through their Spotify to find these bands, but just it doesn't sound any different than any of their other stuff. It's just all the same, and it's all just ripped off of other stuff. So there's really no need for Tool in 2020. But this brings to my point that and then there's Slipknot, and yeah, that's a thing. Not sure about the new metal resurgence or why that's happening. Is Kitty gonna put out a new album? Look up. Well, let me see what Kitty's up to. Are they doing anything? Because if anybody was going to, it'd be them. They go through members like ridiculous. Let's see. Oh, 2018 they had a live album come out, but they haven't done a legitimate album since 2011. I'm surprised. I've seen them play about every metal show in the early 2000s, and it was ridiculous. I saw their original lineup. I saw like their new lineup. I saw a lineup where they had to have a stand-in dude with a big thick beard play with them. It was just like they can't even. What the fuck is this? The cover of the live album has like 12 different chicks on it, and is that a dude too on the cover of the live album? I don't know. Either way, it's fucking stupid. And David Draymond from Disturbed, like, just go away. Um, he's not a good singer. I don't know. Just stuff's pissing me off. I don't get any of this. And I know I'm going into 2000s here, but to me, the early 2000s, 2001, it might as well still been the 90s. But regardless of that, with the resurgence of 80s and 90s music, we've gotten a whole lot of really good bands like I mentioned, Boy Harsher, and we've got Black Marble, and the fuck, uh, look at who was maybe doing it first is Blank Dogs. Fuck, I'm not even sure when Blank Dogs first release came out, but when I found out about them um, in the 2000s, I thought they were a 90s sounding-ish band, but like doing it right. Set Fire to Your House was a goddamn jam. Um, there is an inherent problem, I think, that 90s bands that were signed in the 90s when the record industry was gigantic were used to record producers and A&Rs telling them what to do, what studio to go to, how to do their production. And a lot of times that's why the albums were bad. Now we've got these bands that are coming out that are trying to get a 90s sound, but they're not doing the mistakes that the other bands from the 90s did. They're circumventing it because they're on an independent label that lets them do what they want, where there's not an A&R in the studio, where they get to use vintage equipment. They get to record it the way they want to, even if it's not the proper way that the studio would like you to record an album, because they give these, people a wide berth and there's not a huge budget in it. But when a band like Garbage or a band like Stabbing Westward tried to come back and sign a record label to, or sign to a major label and have a contract and they try to force it to be one of these deals like back in the old days. You got too many hands involved. And I was rooting for this Stabbing Westward EP, believe it or not. I wanted it to be good because I was like, oh man, if they came out using the same instruments that they used then, and they're able to produce it the way they want to produce it without anybody else's hands on it, it could possibly be better than everything they ever did before if that dude can still sing. And I think they're really hiding the fact that he can't because they bury those vocals. And I don't know, bury's a harsh word. Maybe they don't bury them, but they definitely are subdued and polished and kind of muffled. It's almost like he's singing through a sock or something. I don't even fucking know. It's like he's belting out lyrics through a sock for, I don't even know. I don't know who the music is for. I don't know if this is for people that have never heard Stabbing Westward before and they think it's going to catch on. If it's for old Stabbing Westward fans. I don't know what the fuck. But it's pissed me off enough that I'm going to talk about it for this long. It's just ridiculous. It's one of the worst things that I've heard in a long time that I expected to be good, and it was just complete horseshit. And I'm really hoping that somebody's going to search Stabbing Westward and they're going to find this and they're going to listen to how shitty that it really is from me so that I can save them the horror of having to listen to it. And if they do listen to it because they haven't heard it and they're hearing it here, hopefully they agree. And if not, they probably shouldn't listen to this podcast because you probably don't like anything that I like. And I probably hate your guts and hope that you die in 2020. Just how miserable I am. It's been a shitty fucking year, guys. It's like I already had somebody try to steal my identity and take like fucking 10 grand out of my bank account that I didn't even have and bounce it. And I'm still dealing with that shit. And that happened like right at the first of the year. And a lot of people are, you know, just Trump and all this shit. And it's like, yeah, I know about it, but I don't want to talk about it. But my World War III right now is a Stabbing Westward EP because that's just fucking stupid. That's the stupidest thing going on in the world right now. And there's a lot of stupid shit out there. This Stabbing Westward EP's got me fucking livid. I don't even know why I'm so mad about it. I shouldn't have expected greatness, but I don't know. Get your hopes up sometimes. I did get a copy of The Lighthouse. I want to watch that. I missed it in the theater. Hopefully that will cheer me up. I don't know though. I got a screaming 3-year-old every night that won't allow me to watch movies and enjoy them right now. I don't know what her deal is. I've just been watching a lot of Billy on the street because it's something light that I can put on in the background and laugh at. And he's fucking awesome anyway. He's really good in Difficult People on Hulu. If you're looking for a show you haven't seen before and you want something that's a little smarter than something like Parks and Rec or The Office and keep the jokes coming and you like pop culture references and catch something new every time you rewatch an episode, watch Difficult People. Kind of straying from my music topic here, but as you can see, I'm kind of calming down a little bit thinking about movies and TV shows, because they've been so good while music's been so terrible to me lately. I don't know why. Everything that's good that I'm finding is old, and I want to thank Light in the Attic for that. And to a certain extent, Third Man Records putting out some things. No, but I've been diving really deep into some soul music, and I picked up. Oh fuck! What's that guy's name? I was at the record store the other day, and I picked up this fucking album. Um, called Electric Africa. It's Manu Dibango, I think. It's it's just this African release from the 80s that's like fucking amazing. It's short. I think it's on YouTube. It's not on Spotify, but it's fucking phenomenal. It was a really good release and well worth what I paid for it. So that's made me very happy. I also have gotten a copy of Rocky Erickson, Don't Slander Me. I saw Rocky right before he died on his last tour. He wasn't looking good when I saw him. He wasn't really playing the guitars, doing much but sitting in a chair. He'd belt out half the vocals, and some backup vocalist would complete them for him where he was missing words. It was kind of sad, but at least I got to see him before he died. And now Light and the Attic has re-put out that album, as well as The Evil One, which I have as well. Two good Rocky Erickson albums right there. What else have I been listening to? The Delphonics. What's that one? Man. Oh, Donnie and Joe Emerson, Dreamin' Wild. That fucking album is goddamn amazing. I could listen to that a million times over. Recorded in 1979. They're a duo consisting of two brothers, Donnie Emerson and Joe Emerson. Light and the Attic put that out as well as a lot of releases I like. Wendy Reen, back before she died, they put out her collection on from the Stax Vaults. But no, this Donnie and Joe Emerson, they really got me floored. They're from Washington in late 70s. The brother's father encouraged them to, have musical interest, and they began playing their own music. And they built a state-of-the-art $100,000 recording studio, and they self-produced and self-released Dreamin' Wild in 79. It's got a little bit of rock, soul, R&B, a little bit of country, not a whole lot, some funk music, definitely some blue-eyed soul here and there. Is really, really fucking good. They got a song, I think it's called Baby. And man, just the voice on them motherfuckers. Goddamn, so good. Yeah, check out Donnie and Joe Emerson, Dreamin' Wild. Also been listening to ESG. ESG. They have a album called "Come Away with ESG." Came out in 1983, year I was born. It's kind of I don't know really how to describe that one. I guess it's like dance, but I guess they're rock and post-punk, but they sound more like funk. They've got a more a funky sound. Not like funky like reggae, like the Slits or something, but actual kind of funk music. They I'm not even sure where they were from. The Upper West Side of Manhattan, I think. But no, I've got a soft spot for that album. Adam Cooley, my old guitarist in Robe, before he passed away, I sent him this ESG album. I just happened to find it on accident, and he said it was one of the best things that I'd ever sent him. There was that, and then there was a band called Night Terrors that had a theremin as like in place of like a lead guitar or something, and everything was like progressive rock. He really liked Night Terrors, and he liked ESG. I was proud to send him music that he liked because he was always sending me music to get me into. Those were a couple things that I got him into. But I'm straying again, which is probably good because I'm done talking about 90s music and its resurgence, as well as its resurgence in 80s music. Everybody's seen Stranger Things and heard the theme song to Stranger Things and kind of saw that coming. And with the 90s being quite a while ago now, that we're hitting 2020, it's 30 years ago. Oh, damn. 1990 was 30 years ago. Makes me feel so old. But everything that's old is new again. And I wasn't getting ready to start singing a They Might Be Giant song, but I could have. Those words are in one. And They Might Be Giants is a band from, they've been doing music a lot longer than the 90s, I think. I think they started well into the 80s, like in 1982. So they went all through the 80s and 90s and have consistently been putting out stuff ever since. And I'm alright with that. They've been doing it alright. They kind of stayed true to their own sound, so it really doesn't matter that much. I'm not a fan of every one of their albums, but I definitely like a lot of them. And for some reason, They Might Be Giants just reminded me of the Frogs, which sucks that one of the members of the Frogs died, so don't get any more Frog stuff anymore. I think that the last thing they put out was shit. I don't even remember. Was it Hopscotch Lollipop Sunday Surprise, maybe? Or did they put one out right after he passed? That was like posthumous. I think they did. I don't know. I'd have to look, and I don't feel like it. And everybody knows Star Job's where it's at because it has raped on it. If you haven't heard The Frogs Raped, listen to that. It's much better than the Stabbing Westward EP. Just the one song. It's like a minute and 38 seconds. Best minute and 38 seconds that you'll ever spend listening to music, probably. And I guess that's it. You've been with me for a while, and I'm fucking done and cold, and I'm gonna go back in my house and stop recording a podcast in my stupid fucking dented up car. Have a good night.